Financial Management Module 177. This is a module on Profitability Index. Profitability Index is a part of our discussion on capital budgeting. This discussion we have started in some of our previous modules, and we are continuing our discussion on this topic, and this is the focus on Profitability Index. Profitability Index, by definition, is a ratio between the sum of present values of cash inflows and cash outflows. Now, what is an index? The term index is used generally for a relationship of two values, which is mostly in the form of a ratio. And this index is then used as a measure to determine or to assess something. Now, in this case, this profitability index, as the name also suggests, is a tool or a method that we use to assess the projects for the purpose of making investments. So, when we want to make investments in projects which require a huge cash outflow, we use IRR or NPV or profitability index or other methods. This is what we have discussed. So this is one of those methods which gives us a very good point of view, a very good angle of assessing our returns of the project in terms of our profitability. This is something which is also related to what we call the net present value. यानी हमने net present value की discussion में ये देखा था कि यही दो चीज़ें हैं जिनको हम relate करते हैं, यानी sum of present values of inflows and outflows. Net present value में हमने इनका difference देखा था, यानी इनकी amount को एक में से minus करके outflow को फिर हमने देखा था कि net value हमारे पास क्या आती है. So net present value gives us a dollar or a rupee value, and we have certain criteria of acceptance and rejection. In profitability index, instead of subtracting the outflows from the inflows, we actually develop a ratio. That is, we divide the inflows with the outflows. So we come up with a certain value which may be equal to 1 or more or less than that. Now, how do we make the calculation? If we have a look at the slide, we see that in a project that requires 100,000 rupees cash outflow, let's say, and will provide 5 cash inflows from year 1 to year 5 of 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60,000, the first step is to calculate their present values. And again, to calculate the present values, हमें एक discounting rate की ज़रूरत है. Discounting rate के ऊपर हम बहुत सी discussions कर चुके हैं, यानी ये वो rate है जो कि हमारे इस project के लिए required rate of return है. ये required rate of return कहाँ से आता है? ये market के average rate को भी इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है और हम अपनी opportunity cost of funds को भी use कर सकते हैं इस rate को determine करने के लिए. But whatever is the rate, once the rate is given to us, we have to discount all these cash inflows using that discounting rate. In this case, we have got 10% discounting rate, and with 10%, the present values are 18, 24, 30, 34, and 37,000 from year 1 till 5. Now then we add up all these values and we get a number which is 144,434. Now, when we calculate the net present value, we actually subtract the initial outflow, which in this case is 100,000 out of 144,000 to get the net present value. Here we divide this 144,000 with the outflow, and that is 100,000. So we get a ratio. So we get a value of index, and as you can see that this value of index is 1.44. Now, what do we do afterwards? Once we have calculated the ratio or the value of index, then the next and the most important thing is to decide on the basis of the results that we have got, whether to accept that project or not. Because the purpose of applying all these discounted cash flow methods is to decide whether we want to go for the project or not. तो हम फैसला किस बुनियाद पर करेंगे कि इस प्रोजेक्ट को एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए या रिजेक्ट करना चाहिए. And the simple criterion is that if the value of profitability index is less than 1, we will reject the project. यानी इसका नतीजा ये निकला कि अगर प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी इंडेक्स की वैल्यू 1 या 1 से ज़्यादा होगी तो हम उस प्रोजेक्ट को एक्सेप्ट कर लेंगे. जब किसी प्रोजेक्ट की वैल्यू 1 या 1 से ज़्यादा होती है तो इसका मतलब ये है कि ये प्रोजेक्ट हमें हमारा रिक्वायर्ड रेट ऑफ रिटर्न प्रोवाइड कर रहा है या उससे ज़्यादा रेट ऑफ रिटर्न हमें दे रहा है. सो एनी वैल्यू विच इज़ ग्रेटर देन 1 indicates that the project is giving us a value of return which is more than our required rate. And absolute 1 value shows that the project's rate of return is exactly equal to the required rate of return. So we conclude this discussion of profitability index by stating that profitability index is a method of evaluating a project for investment purposes, and it gives us an index value which revolves around 1.0, and any value which is less than 1 is something that leads to rejection of the project. Otherwise, the project is accepted.